What's up, everybody? After wading through much technology tribulation, I am live. So I'm going to start doing this. This is kind of a little series I want to do that just basically explains my experience. My opinions are mine. I do not speak on behalf of the actual company. I've been at the company for 3 years, had some success, seen some challenges, excited about the future, and so I just kind of wanted to hop on and go through some of why I believe real was, is, and will be the future. Or, in other words, why I'm so hyped about everything happening at real today, yesterday, today, and beyond. So I kind of titled this presentation, "The Future is Real?" question mark, because when we joined Real 3 years ago, we were kind of second mouse to the cheese. We had seen EXP do some really awesome things. Taylor and I chose Real as our vehicle. We took a leap. We feel like it was an educated leap, but a leap nonetheless. Now, looking back over the last 3 years, I realized at that point in 2021, the future was real. I'm excited about the things that we're building now. So I believe the future is real. And I'm really excited about what is to come. So I just wanted to share with you 4 reasons why I'm so hyped on what Real is doing and is going to be doing for the future, and just try to make it as simple as humanly possible. So let me see if my slides will cooperate. All right. So these are the 4 reasons why I believe Real is the answer. Number one is economics. So for us, we really had to take a step back and ask ourselves, what economically are we looking for in a real estate brokerage? We've owned 2 different real estate brokerages. We were with Remax for a long period of time. And so the question we had was, economically, we knew what it looked like to build a real estate company. But when we basically gave up ownership of our real estate company and from an economic standpoint, slid into Real, basically transitioned our agent count from independent ownership into Real, we took a little bit of a gamble on the economic side. And I wanted to share with you a few reasons why I love the Real economic model. And the first of it is the cost versus liability. And as a um, an owner of a real estate company, as somebody who's paid a decent amount of taxes, I always evaluate things on a profit and loss statement type of conversation, which is, what is the potential upside and what are my costs for belonging to? So when I look at my relationship with Real, as a solo agent, the plan is very simple. As a 12K cap, the cost ceiling is relatively low. Is it the least expensive place in the world to practice real estate? No. Is it the most expensive place in the world to practice real estate? Absolutely not. And so I feel like that 12K annual cap for either a team leader or a solo agent is very manageable cost. You're on an 85-15 split until you hit that 12K cap, but you're not breaking the bank at $12,000. Now, there are some transaction fees that start to happen after you pay your cap. But the reality is, the economic cost of belonging to Real is very manageable, especially when you take a look at the economic upside. But so the solo agent or team leader, 12K cap, team members, 6K cap, again, is relatively manageable. It's not a big buy in to be a team leader, a solo agent, or a team member at Real. Very, very manageable. But let's talk a little bit about the economic upside. So, a couple of things I wanted to highlight. First of which is your elite agent plan. So, for the last 3 years, I've been an elite agent at Real. And what that basically means is my cost to belong to the company has hovered somewhere right around $18,000 a year. Now, that's not pennies, but the amazing thing that has happened over the last 3 years, and well, the first 2 years, and then I just hit elite status again. So we'll see how it goes the coming year. Over the last, so year one and year two, I paid $18,000 each year to belong to Real. But because I paid that $18,000, I was able to become an elite agent. What that means is I've paid my $12,000 cap. and I paid $6,000 in transaction fees after the cap. Now, by doing that, Real then granted me $16,000 worth of stock. Now it's done basically, you get your stock granted based on the strike price of the stock at the end of the month you become elite. So if I become an elite agent mid-October, then whatever the stock's trading at the end of the month of October, I get $16,000 worth of shares. So year one, the stock was trading at like $1.29 a share. So I got 12,500 shares of stock in Real for my $16,000 paid. Well, as of today, October 7th, the stock is trading at $5.30 a share. So if I say $5.30 a share today, 5.3 times 12500, the $5.30 that the stock is worth, based on the 12,500 shares of stock I was granted, is just over $60,000. So when I look at my first year belonging to Real, yes, it cost me $18,000 to belong to the company, but I was granted $16,000 worth of stock that are now worth 60. So from an economic standpoint, when it comes to cost versus benefit analysis of just being an elite agent at the company, it's an absolute no-brainer. But let me share this next slide with you, which I think is something that should be considered as well. The revenue share program at Real is highly, highly attractive. What the revenue share program does is allow agents to receive compensation for being the advertising engine of the company. In other words, as I introduce the company to other agents, rather than running Facebook ads or Google ads or magazine ads to introduce the company to people, Real basically says, Joe, your life is an advertising mechanism, and so we would like to compensate you. So we've had quite a bit of success with Real's revenue share-based program, but the secret to the program is not the success for hyper entrepreneurs that get in and have success with hundreds or thousands of agents. The secret to the revenue share program is, how can it benefit one agent who has 5 friends who over the course of a year or two end up joining the company? Well, think of it this way. Every single agent that you sponsor into the company that pays their $12,000 cap is going to reward you with $4,000 in actual cash paid to you from the brokerage. So if my cost as a top producing agent is $12,500 to belong to the company, Real is going to grant me $4,000 for every full cap agent that names me a sponsor. So if I have 5 agents that join the company over the course of a year or two, I'm going to be receiving about $20,000 a year in residual income for their production because I was their sponsor. Now, what is the role of a sponsor at Real? That's a somewhat debatable question. The reality is, ideally, your sponsor is obsessed with your business. And so if I'm someone's sponsor, I'm going to spend a significant amount of my time thinking about and strategizing toward their success in the real estate industry. And so it doesn't always work that way. There are shadow sponsors or ghost sponsors at every single company that has a sponsorship model. But how I take it is, sponsorship comes with an opportunity to receive compensation, but also a responsibility to have a little bit of obsession over the people that you have sponsorship responsibility for. So yes, it's highly profitable, but yes, it provides or requires some responsibility on your behalf as a sponsor. So for those reasons, I believe Real's cost of entry from an economic standpoint is relatively low, but the roof of success is incredibly high. I know agents that are making 7 figures a year in revenue share. I know 50, 60, 70 elite agents who come pretty close to wiping out their cost to belong to the company every year purely through Real's stock plan. So pillar number 1 of why I believe Real is here to stay and why it's going to dominate the future in real estate is because of the economic opportunity. Now, before I move on to step number 2, let me just point something out rather quickly. I'm going to share with you 4 things that I believe are so powerful about this company. The reality is, there may be someone who has a leg up on one of these 4 things. I'm not obsessed with being, the best option for every single agent in every single way. But what I'm very committed to and comfortable with is a knowledge that I don't believe there is a real estate company in the entire world that can do better than us when you take all four of these things into account. So you may hear something I say and go, oh, wait, mom and pop shop down the street does this, or this company does that. You may hear one of them and be able to say that one thing, somebody else has figured something out. I don't doubt that. But where I do believe we are very unique is when you take all four of these things into account, it's impossible to find a better solution than real. So let me share with you number two. Number one was the economics. Number two is the opportunity. And what do I mean by that? Well, let me share this with you. On a North American scale, there is about 1.5 million real estate professionals. Real, as of August 2024, there was 21,000 real estate professionals. So just over 1% of the agent population in North America belongs to Real. Now, you've been hearing so much noise about Real. Somebody might have shared this video with you, and you're going like, well, there has to be quite a bit of people and or agents flocking over to Real. The reality is we're still just about 1% of the agent population. Now, when you contrast that with other companies you've heard of, a lot of them hover in the like 7 to 10% of agent count range. So the Keller Williamses of the world and companies like that, they get agent population in the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% range. So here's a question I would ask myself if I was looking at Real. Yes, I've heard a lot about it, but knowing that Real only makes up 1% of, or just over 1% of agent population in North America, a question I would ask myself is, what can Real eventually get to? Is it conceivable that Real can get a 3% agent count market share? Is it conceivable that Real could get to a 5% agent count market share? I believe it absolutely is. So with 21,000 current agents, if we were to say, what would it look like when Real gets to 5% of agent attrition or agent population adoption? 5% would end up being about 75,000 agents. So that's 3.5x our current size. I'm very, very comfortable at 3x our current size that we can get to 75,000 agents. Now, the reality is, on a global scale, that would not make us the biggest real estate company in the world. But what it would do is make a huge difference. If you go back to step number one, which is economics, it would make a huge difference for an agent that joins today to be able to look over the next couple of years and say, man, I was agent number 22,000, and now there's 66,000 agents at Real, because the sponsorship world is highly profitable, not just for agents to come in and become recruiters, but for agents to come in and really work on not just the opportunity, but the obsession with other agents' business, because that kind of bleeds into point number three that I want to share with you guys is we've talked about economics. We've talked about the opportunity. Number three is the culture. Real has, and it was something, full disclosure, that over the last 3 years I've had to become acclimated to. The culture at Real is very much based on one completely simple principle, which is we are one Real. In a revenue share based ecosystem, it is completely conceivable that it would become highly competitive and, for lack of a better term, like siloed. That it would be my tribe versus your tribe versus somebody else's tribe. But Real, in two ways, has done an amazing job of maintaining its culture. Here's what it looks like. Number one, its motto as a company is work hard, be kind. There's other things that we toss around quite a bit, which is collaboration is better than competition and things like that. But what does it look like from a programmatic standpoint? Well, one example of a one Real culture is the co-sponsorship program that was really pioneered at Real. So Tamir, the CEO of Real, came to us and said, what if an agent, when joining Real, was able to not just have one sponsor, but what if there's two people that were highly influential in their decision? And so they're able to name them both as sponsor. It's a revolutionary idea in the sponsorship world, but the reason it's so powerful is it eliminates my tribe versus your tribe. It eliminates my silo versus your silo. It eliminates competition over collaboration. And at its core, it really breeds collaboration. Because the reality is, while I've been at the company for 3 years, we've had a lot of success attracting agents into our world. But if you ask me where I could point from my world beginning and somebody else's ending, there really is no lines of demarcation because over time, we've had so many experiences with, for lack of a better term, co-sponsorship, that there really is a complete blending together of the culture into a one real ecosystem where collaboration really has become the calling card, and it really has become the bedrock of everything we do as a company. So I believe our economics are top best in the industry. I believe our opportunity is great. Yes, we have a proven track record with 21,000 agents. And yes, there's so much more growth to come. Number three, I believe that our culture is world class. There is collaboration across the entire company. But let's talk about number four. And this is really when you go back to 2021 and Taylor and I were looking at Real, the technology aspect of what Real is offering is world class. Now, keep in mind, having owned my own real estate brokerage, there were times where I had zero visibility around my own economics as a real estate company owner. There were times when buying a house or a car or whatever it was, it would take me a couple of days to get a P&L statement to just show my income for, the year 2020. Well, Real has pioneered a few different things from a technology standpoint. But one of the things I love about our company is outside of Workplace and Lofty, we own all of our own technology. And so, yes, the company has not decided to pioneer a CRM. And yes, our company-wide communication tool is currently on the back of Facebook's technology. We use a workplace account. But when it comes to the things that matter, visibility around your transactions, visibility around your economics, visibility around your stock ownership and your revenue share, all of those things are proprietary in the Real ecosystem. So when Taylor and I, having had some experience in the tech industry, started to look at Real, we met with Pritesh, who's the CTO at Real. And what he was building, even at the time, was world class. Now, fast forward, there's going to be a couple of announcements made this month at our Real conference here in Las Vegas. But one of the things that Real is pioneering is Real Wallet. So think about it this way. As a real estate broker, I'll tell you, over time, some of the hardest conversations I've had are with agents who are having trouble making ends meet. And so they've had some success getting some real estate transactions done. And now their real estate transactions are basically being hawked, for lack of a better term, in order to pay their bills. They're taking out a loan on their real estate transactions. Well, Real, with Real Wallet, has completely removed the stigma of real estate transaction, basically borrowing from future real estate productivity by allowing each agent to have, in a sense, a credit score with the company. So if you have transactions pending, if you have stock ownership, if you have some revenue share coming in, you're going to have, in a sense, a line of credit with Real, and even a Real credit card that's going to enable you to draw against future commissions without any awkward conversations with your broker. Now, for top producing agents, it'll provide an investment opportunity where somebody like me who receives my commission or my revenue share into my personal bank account, and then it basically sits there until I figure out how to spend it. The company's going to allow me to reinvest with the company. And where there are agents who have needs or opportunities in other marketplaces, they can borrow against future earnings, and I can be one of the investors. And so this is technology that's really unheard of in the real estate space. But Real Wallet is one of those things that I think is an absolute game changer. So just to kind of recap, guys, number one, the economic cost and opportunity is massive with Real. The opportunity is huge. There's so much growth to come. Our culture is at the bedrock of everything we do, and we own our own technology. So there may be some company out there that has a leg up on one or the other. But the reality is there is no option out there that can compete with us when it comes to all four things. Now, these are my opinions, but it's why I'm so passionate about what we're building at Real, because I believe from an economic and opportunity, a culture, and a technology standpoint, real was, is, and will be the future. Thanks for checking this out. If there's any questions you have, feel free to hit me up, or probably more importantly, hit up the person who sent you this video and ask them, hey, I'm curious about real. Let's talk.